In an earlier section, we discussed how AutoCAD uses a Cartesian coordinate system. Now, sometimes we need to create nodes at specific coordinates. Now, those are known as points. There is a command that can help you draw a point. Now, its size doesn't matter because a point actually has no size. It's only a marker or a node for a specific set of coordinates. Now, a good example of using points in AutoCAD would be that of a surveyor locating the corners of a piece of property or building. Now, the nice thing about points is that you can define their display size and you can snap to them. So if somebody gives you a list of points, you can put them in a drawing and draw lines to each one, kind of like playing connect the dots. So let's draw some points. Very easy to do. You just type in the word point, P-O-I-N-T, or P-O. Now you find those coordinates. You can enter them in manually, just like you would with the line command. So if you want a point at 0, 0, you do that. Now with points, they're a little bit different than with lines or any other commands. It only does one. It does 1 point, and then if you want to draw another point, you have to start the point command again. So there, now I have 2 points. You can see it's like a little bitty dot. There's another little bitty dot right on the origin there. So I can put these dots in however many times I want for whatever purpose that I have. So it's real easy to do. Now, if I want to put them in a very specific point, let's say I want to put it at 5, 5, go 5, 5. And there we go. There's my point at 5, 5. So points are also three-dimensional, just like every object in AutoCAD. If you leave the third coordinate off, it will be drawn at an elevation of 0. Right now, these probably look like tiny dots. If not, that's okay. If yours looks differently, then your settings are currently slightly different than mine. But if you've worked right out of the box, they should look like this, and that's okay. So let's play a game of connect the dots. So I'm going to start the polyline command, press enter, and we want to snap to these. Now to snap to a point, you type in NOD, that's short for node. Press return, and you get a little circle target with an X through it, and it snaps right to that point. Now just type in NOD for node, and just keep snapping to all of the points that you've drawn. And you can snap to any one at any time to create a shape. Now, if these little dots are very hard for you to see, that's okay. You can change their appearance or their size. You'll have a couple of different variables to work with. One of them is PD MODE or PD mode. Right now it's set at 0. If I set it to 1, you've kind of lost them there, haven't you? Set them to 2, they look like a plus sign. If I set it to 3, they look like an X. So you can make them look different. It just depends on what you want to do. Now there's also another setting called PD size. Now you can set them to an absolute size. So you can say, I want them to always be 5 units. So if I zoom out, sort of do a refresh or a regen all, no matter what I do, these X's are always really big. If I go to PD size again, let's make that to something smaller, a little bit more manageable. Set it to 1. There we go, they're at 1. Now, there is another option that you can use. If you type in DDP type on the command line, it gives you this nice little window so that you can actually see what you're picking. Now, remember when we use the PD mode, that are these settings. That is the shape of the point. This is just a little dot. That was a setting of 0. The setting of 1 turns them off. The points are there, you just can't see them. Then a plus sign, an X sign, this line, a circle with a dot, etc. You see all the different options. And then the PD size command is controlled right here in the point size. These are in absolute units. So no matter what scale your drawing is at, they will always be drawn at 1 inch size in this case. Now sometimes your scales will vary, but you're using the same set of line works or the same points. And so you need them to always show up and always be the same size. Well, you can do that. You can set it here, set it relative to the screen. So it'll always be 1 inch or 1% of the screen size. That's something you might want to do. Click OK, and we see our shapes change to circles, And when I zoom in, it looks like they get bigger until I refresh my screen. So they're always going to be a little bitty spot like that. So if I go to my DDP type, let's make this a little bit bigger. Let's change it to 5%. Click OK. So now when I zoom out, you see, okay, they're kind of faded away. But if I refresh it, oh, there we go. They'll always be that size. A lot of times this is the method that I use because I need to be able to see my points and know where they're at. But sometimes though, you're just zoomed out really far and they're just kind of all on top of each other. That happens too. So it just depends on the needs for your drawing and the scale of that drawing at the time. Now it would be really nice that if we could have different settings for different points, but we can't. So however you set up your point settings for this AutoCAD file, you have to use that one set. You can't have multiple styles like you can with dimensions or with text. So just keep that in mind.